former State Department analyst, Mideast peace negotiator, worked with Republicans and Democrats, and he certainly always works for me, Aaron David Miller. And former U.S. security coordinator of the Israel-Palestinian Authority, retired Lieutenant General Mark Schwartz. Hey, General, good to have you on the show. Thank you very much. ADM, as always, appreciate you, especially on a Friday. So, ADM, if they're talking in Europe, am I right that if they're talking, it's good, even if they're not moving the needle right now? It's good that they even showed up.
Right. Chris, before I answer that, just a word on Max. Max is my nephew. He's my brother's oldest son. And I wish him well. And unfortunately, I think this is a classic example of anti-Semitism, pure and simple. There's criticism of Israel. I've been extremely critical of the Israelis, the way they've handled the humanitarian situation in Gaza. But this is clearly the world's second or maybe first oldest profession. It's eternal, and there's no antidote to it. There's no cure. It means people have to stand up, and people have to do something about it. And that goes, I might add, for our president, who enables and who creates an environment by having lunch and dinner and dog whistling far, far, far too often. But again, I wish Max well. As far as your question is concerned, Trump, I think, how can I put this? Trump blinked yesterday in issuing this 2-week warning. But I think it's just as well. Because when America commits its men and women and puts them in harm's way, there are 3 questions America needs to ask. Not just, can we do it? But should we do it? And what, in effect, will it cost? And what about the day after? And I really believe that for the first time in 6 months, there's a degree of adult supervision in getting answers to these questions. I don't think the Europeans will be able to come up with a diplomatic off-ramp, which I think Trump is hoping for. I don't think the Israelis will be able to, and there are ways that they could inflict considerable damage on Fordo without American air power and without the MOPS. They can't destroy it. They can't essentially cripple it. But there are things that they can do. I'm not sure Mr. Netanyahu wants to let the president off the hook on this one. So 2 weeks from today or yesterday, the president's going to be left with the same decision, to strike or not to strike.
Well, but look, I have a story I want to tell about why the use of time can be good. The first time I've ever disagreed with anything Aaron David Miller has said. I don't know that it's a blink. I want to bring in the general to discuss why. But I talked so much up at the top because I'm so upset about what's happening in the country that I blew through a commercial break. I need to take a commercial break. General, unless you've got a plate of hot food in front of you right now, please stay with me through the break. We'll discuss it on the other side. ADM is going to stay because he's never heard me disagree with him ever. So he's going to be here just to laugh at me. We're back with State Department former analyst, international policy guru, Aaron David Miller, and former U.S. security coordinator for the Israel-Palestinian Authority, retired Lieutenant General Mark Schwartz. General, you may have caught this. Aaron, did you say that the congressman is your nephew, Max Miller?
Max is my brother's my brother's oldest son. Yes, Chris. Max is my nephew. I totally
missed that because I was just picking up on the anti-Semitism point. So Max, by the way, just for you guys at home, he's a Republican. He had worked in the Trump administration. He's a Marine reservist. He's 36 years old. What a calm and good head on his shoulders after something like that. Did he tell you anything about who this Palestinian flag waver was?
No.
And do you believe that if it wasn't a Jewish guy who had this done to them, there'd be a lot more outrage?
I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, that's a complicated question, Chris. I think it's a yes, no. Teddy Roosevelt referred to Jews as technical white people. So the notion that Jews are under the radar screen because they're not identifiable, it's created the sense that basically Jews are privileged, and they kind of rank lower on the on the totem pole of persecuted minorities. I mean, I reject that wholeheartedly. I mean, the world saw a genocide in which 6 out of every 7 Jews in Europe. I mean, Hitler deported the entire Jewish community in Rhodes, which was 1,200 miles from the Reich. No, this is the conflation between, and again, the notion that anti-Semitism, anti-Zionism is anti-Semitism is a very complicated thought. I consider myself a Zionist. I believe that the state of Israel has a right to exist. I also believe that it's a complicated question in the sense that Israel is in an extremely complicated area. I worked for a better part of my professional life trying to facilitate negotiations between Israelis and Palestinians. So I think you're right, though, on the issue of people jumping to conclusions and not thinking for themselves, which I think is a huge problem. I don't want to I don't blame, you know, when people say that Fox and the echo chambers are brainwashing Americans. I mean, I have to say, America isn't like a big ATM machine where you get to make withdrawals. You also need to make deposits. And the deposits are the responsibilities and obligations of citizenship. And that means self-education. It doesn't just mean voting.
Well said.
It means getting to understand what America's all about, believing that you have an attachment to something broader than yourself. And it means thinking for yourself. So
I agree.
Complicated
I agree with all of
questions.
that, but it doesn't happen often enough, and maybe that'll change. I think it's actually going the wrong way right now. But look, bravo to your nephew. He handled it beautifully, and thank God the guy didn't run him off the road in a way where he hit a tree and, you know, who knows what happens. But I hope the guy gets spread all over the place who did it, because I really believe it's part of the problem. General, high marks for listening to me yap, but what Aaron said was worth it. So, General, let me ask you some things now. And again, thank you for your patience. I don't believe it's a blink, what Aaron said about the president, although now I feel terrible for disagreeing with him because of what happened to his nephew, which he probably is using against me emotionally. But I don't think it's a blink, General, because usually Trump does ready, fire, aim. This time he's actually aiming. And I think that that's the responsible thing, even if he is using the 2-week thing that he always uses. This needs some thought and some consideration, no?
I agree. I don't think it's a blank. You know, the president's been very consistent, you know, going back 60 plus days now. He genuinely wanted to try to work a deal to get Iran to, you know, relinquish their enriched uranium program. You know, the surface-to-surface missile, you know, element that Israel wants is a different story. But I think it's really good that we're taking an opportunity to allow diplomacy to work for whether it's 2 weeks or, you know, 10 days or longer than that, because the decision that, you know, the commander-in-chief is going to make to put U.S. service members in harm's way, you know, that's not a hip pocket decision. From a military standpoint, this gives, you know, the commander of CENTCOM the opportunity to further set the theater. There's 2 additional carrier strike groups en route to the area of operations, the Nimitz that's accelerating its rotation, and then of course the Ford that's supposed to arrive within the next, you know, 10 to 14 days, depending on when it sails. So it provides the opportunity also for the president and the chairman and the secretary to, you know, again, look at those second, third order effects and look at the risks associated with the courses of action that have been presented to him, you know, through CENTCOM and the Department of Defense. So I think it's all positive.
Well, I appreciate you. I appreciate you both. I did not expect my guest to have a familial relation to the guy I was talking about up at the top of the show, but it wound up being very serendipitous and gave us a lot more perspective on something that's frankly almost being ignored. General Schwartz, thank you for your patience. Thank you for your perspective. I appreciate you. ADM, best to your family. Thank you for being with me.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.